One thing Tom Brady is happy to see, or not see, is Justin Tuck, who tormented him in not one, but 2 Super Bowls. And Justin Tuck joins us here on Giants First and 10, presented by Stop and Shop. Justin, obviously the 4 sacks in the Super Bowls against Tom Brady. When you think back on it, why were you able to have so much success against the Patriots?
I think we had great matchups. I think that's the first thing. And plus, I think that we wasn't intimidated by the greatness of the Patriots. I think we looked at it as an opportunity to kind of prove that we could play the best in the world, and that's what they presented us. So I think we were prepared. We were positioned in a way where we could get after him, and we executed. So I think when you add all that together, that's probably one of the reasons why we play so well against him.
Justin, when I look at him today, over the last 4 games, he just looks so comfortable in the pocket and in such a rhythm. Is the key to a quarterback like Tom Brady is to get him out of rhythm, don't let him find his comfort zone? Yeah,
I think it's the same with every quarterback, no matter if it's a guy who will arguably go down as the greatest to play the game or someone who's just starting their first game. All these quarterbacks can spin it if you give them 3 seconds, if you give them time to go through their progressions, you make them comfortable. But I've never seen a quarterback, no matter how great he is, throw touchdowns from his back, throw touchdowns when he's running for his life. And that's kind of how we always approach that, right? But yeah, I think Tom has seen it all.
Justin, what's the one thing you miss about playing it?
Well, I miss the checks. The checks were really, really good. But honestly, I think more than anything, you miss the camaraderie. You miss the guys. You miss that locker room. You miss going out to battle with, 53 guys that, they got your back and you got their back. And then plus, as a captain of a team, I miss trying to figure out the puzzles to making sure that we did the right things to pull all of those guys in the right direction. Because as you guys know, you've been around football a long time. You can have the best team, but the ball normally finds that one person out of place or that one attitude that isn't in line with the whole scheme of what the team is trying to get. And I enjoyed, learning more about every teammate. I enjoyed learning about what made them tick. That was something that you can't recreate outside of the locker room.
So my pick this week for Above the Numbers is Leonard Williams. Now, I love the season Leonard Williams is having right now. I feel like he's shown flashes of dominance against the opposition. Now, we just need more of that consistency out of him. But he's going to have to come bring his A game this week, going up against Tom Brady in that offensive line. And if shown, we've seen through history, Deal, and you were there for that, that if we get pressure onto Tom Brady, crowd his space, get people up on his toes, not make him comfortable in that pocket, it definitely leaves him he gets back on his heels a little bit, and he can't throw the ball as efficiently as he should. And we've seen that over the years.
And a lot of people think that Tom Brady is the one who really sets up what happens on this offense. It's actually Ronald Jones, their running back. So in the run game, in their zone inside scheme, in between the tackles, he's got to be able to shed the double teams, and he's got to be able to get penetration to get those offensive linemen on different levels to let the rest of the defense rally up and make a tackle.
Absolutely.
I'm going on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm going with Wayne Gallman. We saw the way that he played last week up against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's not only against the run game, which we know that they're dominant and they're only allowing 66 yards per game, but in the passing game, the amount of stunts and the amount of blitzes that they bring as a defense, that's going to allow a little bit of a running back out of the backfield as an extension of the run. But we know the big thing that he's going to have to do if he's out there as well, blitz pickup. We know that that's something that they bring.
100%. And balanced football is key, right, Dave? I mean, you got to be able to run the ball, to run play action pass, and get the defense off of you a little bit. And if Wayne Gallman can run the ball well, make the defense stay honest defensively, they can really have an impact against this Tampa Bay defense.
And who we need to keep below the numbers?
I mean, we're going with
the whole D-line. We have to do it. I mean, the way that they're playing, the way that they set up their stunts. One thing as an offensive line that they can do as a group, we used to always say when it's third down, we would say bingo. Everybody take a kick back. Let their stunts, let their blitzes get lined up and get separated so that all of us were on the same level playing field. And they're going to have to win your one-on-ones. There's times where they don't send a blitz and they just rush forward and they've been able to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, our offensive line is going to have to anchor down and see. I like what you said there about kicking back and really see what's going on in front of them and don't react too early to what they're seeing, because that's when you can really get beat. And we all seen when this defense gets going, they're able to get to that quarterback in a hurry and make things really difficult.
Although Tom Brady has never played in the NFC East, feels like he's part of a rivalry with the New York Giants for obvious reasons and those 2 Super Bowls. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League talked about this matchup against Big Blue.
A team that we're playing this week in the Giants that presents a lot of defensive looks, a lot of different fronts. Our identification is very important. They rotate a lot of guys in defensively. There's a lot of different coverage schemes they use. They put a lot of pressure on the offense to communicate well, to make pre-snap decisions, post-snap decisions. And, it's going to be a tough, hard-nosed game. They're very physical. We're going on the road. Monday night game in prime time. We're going to have to be at our best.
The coach's tape, strategy with Carl Banks. And Carl, Tom Brady is certainly growing in the offense of Bruce Arians.
He is, and the one reason he grows, Bob, is because of his football IQ. He knows how to read coverages. He sees a cover 2 there. He knows that this is either going to be a 2-man or a 2-zone, so his receiver is not going to go into the safety. He's going to run basically a go route, or you can call it a skinny post or whatever, but he presses the corner and Brady lays the ball right where he can get it. You see here on the outside, they get something to pull the safety out of the middle of the field. Now it's a one-on-one, and Brady just drops it right where it needs to go. So the play design, by design, Bob, you got a safety showing too deep, but they rotate into basically a man coverage. Brady sees it. They're off and running. There's no way the backside safety gets that. There's a reason Tom Brady has so much success with passes down the field, is because, like I said, he has a great football IQ, but if you're a defense, you cannot show your hand too early. Here you'll see Brady sees one thing and knows exactly what he has. Let's take a look. Keep an eye on the defense here. All the guys here in the middle of the field. Now, they're showing that they got the middle of the field coverage, but as you see, when things start to move around a bit, you get a safety that bails out. I'll freeze it right here. You see Brady communicating, because what he sees all of this area open, because you got a guy here, these guys are covered. So he knows there's a window for his tight end to get here and get him the ball before he gets to the safety. Once he sees this area open up, he knows it's something there. So if you're going to disguise against Tom Brady, you better hold it as long as you can. Just take a look. Your safety here is playing so far off the screen that you got to send him a telegram to get him back into play here. Look at that, just wide open, easy pitch, easy catch.
Tom Brady is a master at waiting until the last possible second to diagnose. The Giants are going to have to be very disciplined in what they do. Now, you go to the other side of the ball. The Buccaneers have 25 sacks this year, Carl. They force turnovers. They are really disruptive up front defensively. Why?
They're a high percentage blitz team, Bob, and they like to cause confusion. The numbers normally don't outnumber what you have to block them, but the confusion, things like standing a defensive lineman up in Ndamukong Suh, right? So you got a linebacker, you got a defensive end, you got here, here, here. So you got 5 potential rushers, possible 6. They've got enough to block them, but watch what happens here. Suh starts to move around along with a safety. Nothing out of the normal. You can count those guys, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possible 6, right? But right now you got 5 to block 5. Whoop, freeze. There's your 6th guy. So you've got to account, the quarterback has got to account for that guy, and then you get them all blocked. But if you don't, that guy comes untouched, it's a sack. So communication up front is very important. And one of the things they do, they like to create confusion, but they also have great individual pass rushers. So the threat of the blitz also takes your offensive lineman out of rhythm and saying, okay, is this guy coming? Is he not? You see guys moving around. Again, they got enough guys to block them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they've got 6 guys in to block right now if the tight end is involved. You just got to know your assignments. You just can't turn a guy loose. This is a pretty easy one, Bob. If they just communicate it, they get this block, but you can't have a guy just waltz through untouched. Get your quarterback killed.
All right, here's question number 1. Howard, I'm going to switch it up and start with you this week. Is this the most talent Tom Brady has ever had around him in his NFL career?
Is this the most talent? I'm going to have to say no. Having Randy Moss around you, playing with that guy, Hall of Famer, that's the most talent you could have around you in that moment when he was playing back then. I think now, you know, they got good talent around. They got some good pieces. They may have one of the better defenses, but Randy Moss was definitely the most offensive talent he ever had.
Well, if you're counting one guy, you can certainly say that, but they are getting more talent. So, Howard, I would agree with you that this isn't the most talent he has because he just added another receiver.
50-50. I still go. Randy Moss overshadows a lot of those other guys. Put 3 or 4 of those guys together.
But how about this one, Howard? Mike Evans and Randy Moss are the only receivers in NFL history to have 1,000 or more receiving yards in each of their first 6 seasons. So he's got Mike Evans, plus he's got all the other guys, plus he's going to get Antonio Brown, and he's got Gronk and Brate, and when O.J. Howard's healthy, he's got him. That's a lot of talent.
It's a lot of talent.
All right, Carl, this one's for you. Is JPP the best defender on the Buccaneers? Is he playing his best football since his prime with the Giants?
Well, I don't know if he's their best defender, but he's playing his best football since he's been with the Giants. They do so much schematically to create one-on-one situations for him.
No, JPP is not their best. They got a linebacker down there from LSU that's playing lights out. He's all over the field. He can cover receivers in the middle, almost like a slot defender. He rushes the passer. He does a lot of everything. JPP is good. JPP is dominant, but he is not the best defender on the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Well, if you're good and you're dominant, then you're disruptive, and JPP can wreck a game.
Okay, we'll see.
Howard was referring to Devin White, and he and Levante David might actually form the best inside linebacking duo in the NFL. Levante David, a stud as well. Final question, Carl. Tom Brady and Gronk make up one of the best duos in NFL history. What is the best tandem, in your opinion, in Giants history?
Wow, Sims to Bavaro, maybe.
Pretty good.
Ooh. I would go in Giants history. It's kind of tough, but I'd probably go Plexico and Eli.
Can't go wrong either way.
All across the board. We've got guys on the outside, guys in the middle, guys on the inside, but we got this guy, the big Gronk. Everybody knows Gronk, obviously the Patriots and Joe Judge and the time together there. But this is going to be a great matchup for this Giants defense. It's going to take everybody, all hands on deck for the big guy.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Sean, and it's a team effort. The Giants are going to throw the kitchen sink at this guy. Both their safeties, Jabril Peppers and Logan Ryan, as well as middle linebacker Blake Martinez.
Yeah, and they like to move Gronk around all over the field, try to get different opportunities for him, both in the middle of the field and on the outside. And you could see in the last couple of weeks, he's really had some good production. There is not one coverage that's going to take care of Robert Gronkowski. You've got to find a way to disrupt him off the line. Sometimes that's a defensive end jamming him so he doesn't get a free release. Sometimes it's a linebacker coming up and jamming him. So that's Blake Martinez. When you spread him out in the slot position, try to get a one-on-one coverage, that's when Jabril Peppers and Logan Ryan are going to have their hands full. They're going to have to jam him, get physical as well. You can't let him get off the line and create speed. But then they may have to also have somebody over the top so that Tom Brady can't go deep on you.
Now, this is a different offense that Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski are operating in, Sean. Do they use him any differently in the Bruce Arians system as opposed to what they did in New England?
Well, when he was in New England, I thought he blocked a lot more than they're asking him to do now. But he definitely looks leaner. He looks more athletic. They're not going to ask Rob Gronkowski to go in there on 36 power and block a defensive end. So he is looking much more like a receiver. But I think he looks a little bit quicker at times, too.
You know, as you prepare for this team, you obviously know a lot about the quarterback, Mr. Tom Brady. You played with him for how many years up in New England? You had an interception for a touchdown return off a deflection when you were with the Titans this past season in the playoffs. How much different is he nowadays from when you played with him? And do you think that maybe psychologically there is an edge that one of you has over the other because you know each other so well?
I don't know if it's an edge because I know how hard he works and I know the work he's putting in. That's my only edge that I have is I know that he's working right now. I know how much he wants to win. I look at Tom Brady as the final test. I look at him as the boss at the end of the game. He is going to challenge you every single play mentally, and he's going to put his team in the right position to win the game, and it's my job to put our team in the right position defensively So I look at it as a great test, and I know the challenge that he brings from practicing against them for 4 years.
You know, he goes to a new team this year with the Buccaneers, and it looks as though the last couple of weeks in particular, as I've watched the cut-ups, he looks as sharp as ever, spreading the ball around. It seems like everybody's getting an opportunity to touch it.
Yeah, Tom's going to do a great job of identifying the defense, the weakness in it, and he's going to throw to the guy who's open. And he doesn't care who it is. He's made a career throwing to hundreds of receivers. You know, he hasn't had Hall of Fame receivers throughout his career. He's got a talented group. I think Mike's one of the more underrated players in this league. I think he's one of the best receivers in the league. I've played against him, matched up with him, practiced against him. He's big, he's fast, faster than people think. We'll definitely need a James Bradbury or one of our guys to be mindful of that. And I think James has a good history with him. Gronk's really a smart player. I don't know if he has that reputation. He reads coverages just like Brady does. He knows how to get open for Brady, and he knows where Brady likes to throw the ball, and he knows how to catch it.
So as you go into this game and even go the rest of the season, Logan, what is the one thing, if I had to pin down one thing you absolutely, positively have to get better at as a unit if you guys are going to take the next step up?
I think it would have to be tackling. We're going against a Tampa Bay team that's extremely talented, Hall of Famers on the field. But guess what? We're a bunch of guys that are blue collar, chip on our shoulder, and one thing in us, we know how to fight. We played some talented offenses this year, and people thought we weren't going to do anything against them, and they had some rough days against us. So we're not afraid of them. We're going to go out there and do our best. We'll go out there and challenge them, and we're going to go out there and have to tackle them. I think we do a better job tackling. I think you're going to see this defense definitely rise, and I think we're a pretty good defense right now, but I think there's room for improvement.
Carl, last year, Mike Evans tuned the Giants up to 190 yards receiving. In his career, 3 of his 4 games against the Giants, over 100 yards. How do they deal with him in this game?
Well, number one, you don't leave him single coverage. You got to be able to roll coverage to help Mike Evans. They got a lot of threats on their offense, but their biggest threat is Evans deep. So if you've got to sacrifice a tight end going across to cover a wide receiver going deep, then you make that sacrifice, but you cannot let him go one-on-one.
Some interesting numbers. How about this one with Tom Brady? A .571 win percentage against the Giants all-time. That counts the postseason. Meanwhile, against the rest of the NFL, he's at 77% win percentage. The Giants obviously have played Brady very well over the years.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, they have been able to play a better team defense against Tom Brady, not just focusing on him, but taking away some of the things he likes to do well.
Yeah, even in 2015 at MetLife Stadium when the Patriots were really good, the Giants had a chance to win that football game. Brady, by the way, in the regular season has the greatest win percentage of any quarterback ever, better than Roger Staubach and Joe Montana. All right, 92. Speaking of great, Brady and Gronk, counting the postseason, have 92 touchdown passes between them. That ties, ready for this? Steve Young and Jerry Rice.
Wow.
When you think about that, and he's a tight end.
Yeah, that's the connection. When you have a player of the caliber of Rob Gronkowski, and he's big, he's a mismatch, it's a great connection they have.
All right, and then the number 4. The Giants and Bucs are playing for a 4th consecutive year. Now, the Giants have won the last 2 against the Buccaneers, but I think you got to throw all that stuff out the window, right? Because with Brady there and not Jameis Winston or whoever the quarterbacks for the Bucs, kind of creates a different atmosphere.
It does, and let's just say it's a different year. So it's different circumstances every year. They got to deal with the quarterback that's there this year.